Heartwarming response revealed, quiet janitor's incredible life-changing purpose for his daughter. Charlie had spent decades sweeping up the dreams and dramas of Sunnyvale High School, a place teeming with vibrant teen energy and the unwritten rules of adolescence. At 52, he was a fixture, pushing his mop with tender resolve, wiping clean not just floors but the worries that weighed on teenagers' minds. For Charlie, each night was a quiet affirmation of love for his daughter Emma, who was just 16, lost, lonely, and haunted by the memory of her mother. He could hear the laughter echoing down the hall, the chatter rising from the cafeteria where students formed their tightly knit cliques. Meanwhile, in a far corner, Emma sat alone, the worn fabric of her clothes setting her apart from the gleaming, designer outfits of her classmates. The laughter stung, each chuckle a reminder of her struggles, of her father's years of hard work that barely covered the bills. Even with his gentle encouragement about resilience, she felt invisible. One afternoon, in a moment of desperation, Emma stumbled upon a photo of her mother hidden in an old book, her mom's dazzling smile a bittersweet ghost in a sea of sorrow. Heart pounding, anger bubbled within her. She confronted Charlie that night with tears streaming down her cheeks. "Why can't you just be normal? I don't want to be connected to your struggles," she shouted, words sharp as knives, cutting through their unyielding bond. Then came community service day at a local shelter. Charlie showed up, bringing warmth and compassion to those in need, oblivious to the ripple effects he was creating. Emma, assigned to the same service, watched as her father spoke with grace to a homeless man, hands gesturing animatedly, sharing stories of hope. For the first time, the students from Sunnyvale High saw Charlie as more than just a janitor. He was a beacon of strength and kindness. Whispers filled the air. Who knew a janitor could inspire such profound change? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Back at Sunnyvale, the buzz grew louder as the administration planned an assembly to honor its unsung heroes. Emma felt a mix of dread and excitement swirling within her as she heard whispers about her father being recognized. Pride warred with her fear of being seen as that girl, the one tethered to the janitor's legacy. As Charlie stood on stage, a scholarship in his name was revealed, destined for Emma. The gym filled with applause, yet inside her heart sank. It was a moment bursting with love but also shadowed by her fear of being shackled by her father's sacrifices. With trembling hands, Emma clutched the scholarship notification. Every beat of her heart echoed confusion and hope. Could this scholarship be the key to break free from the cycle and step into her dreams? Or would it tether her tighter to the weight of her father's humble life, one built on sacrifice? The audience held its breath, eager to see her choice as the path ahead twisted into an unexpected labyrinth of emotions. Emma felt the weight of every gaze in the gym, all eyes restlessly darting between her and the stage where Charlie stood. The applause felt like a tidal wave, washing over her with a mix of admiration and judgment. As her heart raced, she squeezed the paper tighter, feeling the edges scratch against her palm. This was her moment, yet all she could think about were the whispers that would follow her home. Charlie, beaming with pride, caught her eye from his spot on the stage. Somehow, he always seemed to know when she was upset. Though she wanted to smile back, her insides twisted at the thought of what acceptance meant. Should she be grateful, or was she allowed to resent this very life they had created together? The audience quieted as Charlie spoke, his voice steady and filled with warmth. "I want to dedicate this scholarship not just to my daughter but to all the kids out there who may feel lost or unseen." His words weighed heavily on her heart. She could see the sincerity in his eyes, the love he poured into his work and into her. "We all have our struggles, but we rise together. Emma, the world is waiting for you to shine, just as I see you." For a brief moment, time stood still. Emma's heart raced with a confusing blend of pride and dread. Could she rise? Or would she be forever trapped beneath the weight of his hopes and dreams? The truth was, she had dreams of her own, dreams that felt distant and impossible. As the assembly wrapped up, students rushed to congratulate Charlie, pulling him into a lively conversation, leaving Emma standing by the gym doors. She watched fearfully as he basked in the glow of his moment. Flashes of her mother's warm smile flitted through her mind. Was this love or an impossible expectation to fulfill? When the crowds dispersed and the gym transitioned to shadows, Emma took a deep breath and approached her father. "Dad?" He turned, eyes sparkling like the night sky. "What do you think, sweetheart? It's a big step for you. We can look into colleges this summer." "Yeah, about that," she stammered, replaying the fabric of thoughts in her mind. "Do I even want to go to college? Or just go because it's what's expected?" His face fell slightly, a flicker of concern shadowing his features. "Hey, Emma, it's your life. This scholarship is meant to create options for you, not tie you down. But I feel like I'm just stepping into your shoes. The weight of it all, it's crushing." She could see the conflict building in Charlie's eyes, the fatherly instinct to uplift clashing with the reality of her desire for independence. "Remember what I always say," he replied softly, resting a calloused hand on her shoulder. "What's important is finding your own way. You get to define what success means for you." Her heart began to flutter with a sense of possibility, but the fear of disappointing him still loomed large. "I don't want to put our lives in danger by chasing after something I'm unsure of." Charlie's expression softened as he pulled her into a gentle hug, the warmth of his presence battling against the chill of her uncertainty. "Then let us figure it out together. You're not alone in this." As they broke apart, a new thought flickered in Emma's mind. Could she shape her future while honoring her past? What would her path look like, free from fear yet rooted in love? Just then, the school bell echoed, cutting through the silence like a fresh gust of wind. It was a sound of change, a reminder that tomorrow would bring with it new choices. "Tomorrow is another day," Charlie whispered, almost as if reading her thoughts. "We will face it together." Emma nodded, but deep inside, confusion started swirling again. What did that really mean for both of them? As they stepped out of the gym, she felt the portal to an unknown labyrinth opening before her, filled with questions, fears, and perhaps, unexpected adventures. Would she emerge on the other side stronger? Or would the path lead her to confront something even more soul-shaking than the expectations tethered to her? Tomorrow held promises. Was she ready to face them? Gray clouds hung low in the sky the next morning, and Emma could feel the weight of expectation pressing down on her as she walked through the school's bustling halls. The laughter and chatter that usually filled the air felt muted, almost like a distant echo. Each step she took felt heavier than the last, her mind swirling with uncertainty. What should I even do? She whispered to herself, using the side of her backpack to steady her as she stood by the lockers. "Hey, Emma," came a familiar voice. It was Sarah, her best friend, bouncing toward her. "Are you ready for the big scholarship party at Dad's place this weekend? Everyone's talking about it." The thought of the party sent a pang through Emma's chest. Everyone would expect her to shine, to soak up the accolades, to embrace the life laid out before her. But what if she didn't want to take the stage? "I don't know, Sarah. Maybe I won't go after all." "Seriously?" Sarah frowned. "You can't skip that. You have to celebrate this achievement. It's huge." Emma opened her mouth to respond but paused, reeling from the certainty in Sarah's voice. Huge? Was it? Or was it just another layer of pressure, another expectation she wasn't sure she wanted to meet? As Sarah chattered on about the party, Emma glanced down the hall where Charlie stood speaking with a group of teachers. He was animated, hands waving, a smile plastered on his face. Her heart swelled, mixed with pride and a twinge of fear. She wanted to make him proud, but at what cost? Emma. Earth to Emma. Sarah waved a hand in front of her face, jolting her from her thoughts. You okay? Yeah, just thinking, Emma managed, then added, about what it all means. What do you mean? It's just, what if I don't fit in that world? What if the scholarship is just a trap? A shudder escaped her as she spoke, the fear spilling out like a waterfall. Emma. It's not a trap. It's a chance. You can chart your own path. You're not just a reflection of your dad, you're Emma. The truth of Sarah's words lingered in the air, tempting Emma to consider the possibility. Hey, let us get some coffee after school, Sarah suggested, suddenly looking hopeful. We need to plan your birthday bash, too. It's going to be epic. Let us make some memories. Emma couldn't help but smile at the thought. Maybe the party would be a chance for her to explore who she really was, away from the weighty expectations. Alright, coffee it is. Classes came and went, but with each passing period, another layer of apprehension built inside her. The differences between her dreams and others' expectations seemed to widen, casting a shadow over what the future could hold. As the final bell rang, Emma's heart raced not just with excitement but with fear. She found herself at the threshold of a decision, the choice unfolding before her like a vast, uncharted horizon. Should she continue following a path laid out by others, or forge her own, even if it meant stepping away from the familiar comfort of acceptance? That night, at the small family dinner table, she picked at her food, her mind a whirlwind of doubt. Dad, can we talk about the scholarship again? Charlie looked up, curiosity etched across his features. Of course, sweetheart. What's on your mind? I just want to make sure that the dreams I chase are actually mine and not just, what you want for me. Charlie paused, clearly absorbing her words. I want you to be happy, Emma. It was never about me. She searched his eyes, wanting to believe him but struggling with the reality of their intertwined dreams. But what if I fail? What if everyone's counting on me? Then we'll figure it out together, he said, a firm confidence in his tone. In that moment, Emma felt the scales tip slightly in her favor. Maybe she could find her own path, one that was hers alone. But deep down, another question lingered, tugging at her heart. What if that path led her somewhere unexpected or even frightening? As she lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, she resolved to seek out her truth. Tomorrow would not just be another day, it would hold the key to her future. What steps would she take to unlock that door? The gravity of her thoughts loomed large, and as sleep finally took her, she couldn't help but wonder if she was brave enough to turn the key. The next morning brought a soft light filtering through the curtains, a contrast to the heavy clouds of uncertainty that had plagued Emma just hours before. She sat up, heart racing as her thoughts swirled. Java coffee in hand, she inhaled deeply, its warm, nutty aroma filling her with a quiet resolve. Today would be about clarity, or at least she hoped so. After school, Emma met Sarah at their favorite cafe. The sound of steaming milk and the scent of baked goods pinned her stormy clouds to the ground. She allowed herself a moment to soak in the chatter and laughter around her, a temporary distraction from the whirlwind in her mind. Okay, Sarah said, her enthusiasm bubbling over. First order of business, birthday bash planning. It's gotta be unforgettable. Emma smiled faintly. Yeah, about that. That's not the face of someone who's excited, Sarah laughed, but her eyes turned serious. Emma, can I be real with you? Just for a sec. Sure, Emma nodded, setting her coffee down. You know I care about you, right? And I don't want to pressure you into anything. But I see you struggling with the scholarship and all, and I think you deserve to own that moment. Not just for you but for the way people admire you. But what if I don't live up to that? Emma's voice trembled under the weight of her fears. What if it all crumbles? Sarah leaned in, her voice low and earnest. Emma, you're not some facade. You're real, and what you bring to the table is more than just titles. Those who matter see the heart behind it. You're the one who makes your dreams come true, not the other way around. These words rested heavily on Emma's heart. For a fleeting moment, she felt the spacious possibility of self-discovery. Yet, doubt lingered like a shadow, creeping into her thoughts. After an inspiring conversation with Sarah, Emma turned towards home, her mind thumping against her skull with questions she couldn't answer. She approached her front door, hesitating before walking inside. Charlie was still at work, a late meeting. Though solitude comforted her, it also reminded her of the clarity she was desperately searching for. As she settled at the dining room table, the morning sunlight brightened the room, casting playful shadows across the wooden surface. She pulled out a notebook, and for the first time, the pages felt less intimidating. With a pen in hand, she outlined her thoughts. What did she love? What made her heart race? Drawing a hesitant line down the center, she created 2 columns, what I want and what others expect. Under what I want, she scribbled words like painting, travel, and community. Each word felt freeing, invigorating. But when she glanced at the other column, her heart sank. The expectations seemed vast, impenetrable. Suddenly, the door creaked open, and Charlie stepped inside, his presence flooding the room with both warmth and worry. Hey, kiddo. I thought I'd check in. Hey, Dad, she replied, folding the notebook closed in a rush. Just working on some school stuff. He joined her at the table, noting the tension in her shoulders. You all right? Emma hesitated. Should she reveal her fears? The words twisted on her tongue, caught in a storm of uncertainty. Yeah, just thinking about choices, she said finally, fear mingling with a glimmer of hope. Charlie leaned forward, his eyes penetrating and sincere. Choices? That sounds serious. You know you can talk to me about anything, right? Like I said before, it's your future to shape. It's hard, Emma admitted, feeling her heart thud in her chest. What if I choose wrong? In that moment, the heaviness of expectation began to shift. She realized maybe it was about guiding her own path, despite the noise around her. Just take one step at a time, Charlie replied, his voice soothing. You'll find your way, Emma. Trust yourself. His words echoed inside her, a gentle push toward the clarity she craved, yet uncertainty loomed over her. What if she stumbled? What if finding her own path took her to places that scared her? As night fell, Emma lay awake, nestled in confusion but alongside the tender flicker of hope. Tomorrow called, bearing a burgeoning desire to explore her potential. Her heart raced. Could she embrace the unknown? One question lingered like a whisper in the dark. What discoveries awaited her if she dared to venture into the bold expanse of her own dreams? The next day dawned brighter than Emma had anticipated. She lay in bed, the sunlight warming her face, and for the first time in what felt like ages, she didn't want to hide from the world. The lesson from the night before was still fresh, a step at a time. With a deep breath, she tossed aside the covers and made her way to the shower, the water washing away the haze of uncertainty. At school, her focus felt sharper. She attended classes, jotting down notes with a new vigor. Each bell rang like a signal to move forward. Yet, during lunch, Emma felt the familiar grip of anxiety tighten in her chest again. With Sarah's birthday looming, the pressure of expectations was an immovable weight. Hey, Sarah said, sliding into the seat across from her, a bright smile lighting her face. So, I was thinking, what if we did a video invite? Something funny, super us? It'll really show everyone how cool this party is going to be. Emma's heart fluttered at the idea but also sank slightly. Yeah, that could be fun. But, what if it doesn't turn out well? Sarah tilted her head, eyebrow raised. Seriously? Who cares? It's about making memories, right? Not everything needs to be perfect. Emma chuckled, though her nerves still tickled at the edges of her mind. Perhaps it was time to let those fears go, to embrace who she was instead of worrying about who others expected her to be. All right, let us do it, she said, her voice steadier than she felt. After school, they gathered at Sarah's house, the scent of pizza filling the air as they set up for the video. Laughter bounced off the walls as they aimed a phone at themselves, captured their ridiculous antics, and let their personalities shine through. For the first time, Emma felt herself loosening up. She danced, joked, and let go of the perfectionism that had so long held her captive. Each smile embedded a tiny victory against her self-doubt. While scrolling through the clips after filming, something strange happened. Emma caught a glimpse of herself laughing, truly laughing. The contrast was striking against the backdrop of her worries. She looked alive, free. I can do this, she whispered to herself, a spark igniting deep within. Later that evening, Emma returned home, visibly lighter. As she entered the living room, Charlie looked up from his chair, the evening news fading into the background. Hey there. You seem different tonight. Yeah, I feel good, Emma replied, surprising herself with the honesty. Charlie smiled, a knowing kindness in his eyes. That's great to hear, sweetheart. Did you find some clarity? More like I realized I don't have to meet anyone else's expectations. I can just be me. He nodded, his expression proud. That's what it's all about. Just remember, you don't have to align your dreams with anyone else's. Your journey is yours to create. Emma nodded, absorbing his words. But the realization struck her, how do I find my true self amongst all the voices? That night, as Emma finally crawled into bed, the question lingered. She couldn't quiet her racing heart. What did it mean to truly embrace herself, and how far could she go if she dared to be unapologetically herself? Sleep eluded her as anticipation curled around her mind. What would the next day reveal? The idea of discovery thrilled her. It felt like standing at the edge of a cliff, not knowing how high the jump would take her. But deep down, she sensed that this was only the beginning. The vibrant pulse of potential surged within her. Tomorrow would offer an even wider canvas. What awaited her just around the corner? Would she finally claim her voice, or would fear claw its way back into her heart? The sun shone a little brighter the next morning, as if encouraging Emma to step into the world waiting for her. She felt a flicker of excitement in her chest, igniting a fresh wave of daring. Today was special. Today, she'd make more than just memories, she was ready to embrace herself. His guidance echoed in her ears, a steady pulse behind her resolve. After school, Emma decided to visit Sarah first. She had something in mind. Standing in front of Sarah's door, she took a breath. Her heart thumped loudly against her ribcage, but she pushed those nerves aside. When Sarah opened the door, surprise mixed with delight illuminated her face. Hey, come in. Once settled on the couch, surrounded by the familiar chaos of Sarah's artwork and mismatched cushions, Emma couldn't hold back. I want to do something special for your birthday. Something truly us. Like, throw a small party at the park, or her voice wavered slightly, maybe even perform a skit based on that hilarious video we made? Whoa, hold on. A skit? Sarah's eyes sparkled, excitement brewing. That could be epic. But what if we mess up? Emma shot her a grin. Again, who cares if it's perfect? It's about us, right? Just like that, they dove deep into planning, picking out costumes and ping-ponging ideas that sent ripples of laughter through the room. Emma marveled at how freeing it felt to be vulnerable, to throw her worries to the wind. Days flew by, and the park day arrived faster than expected. The sun hung lazily in the sky, creating a perfect backdrop for laughter and joy. As they set up, Emma felt uneasy with every passing moment. She glanced around at the gathering crowd. Friends arrived, faces filled with anticipation, their laughter fusing with the breeze. Breath caught in her throat. What if they didn't like it? What if everyone saw the mess lurking beneath her cheerful facade? Emma. Sarah's voice broke through the haze in her mind. It's time. Just breathe. A rush of nerves sidled up next to her, but she looked around and saw her friends beaming with support. It struck her this was more than just a performance. It was a celebration of them, silly as that might be. As the spotlight fell on them, Emma's heart raced, but graceful excitement rose in her chest too. They launched into the skit, every word and gesture fueled by the joy of simply being. Emma lost herself in the performance. Laughter erupted from the audience, and the collective happiness throbbed like music in her veins. The playful banter, the goofy dances, each moment stitched them closer together. When they finished, a wave of applause washed over them, like a warm embrace. Emma stood there, breathless, a huge grin on her face. She turned to Sarah, who beamed back at her, and in that moment, everything clicked into place. I can't believe we just did that. Emma whispered, still buzzing with adrenaline. But think about it, Sarah said with excitement bubbling in her voice. You were amazing up there. You really were. Emma felt something change inside her. It was as if she peeled away layers of doubt, revealing a bright, vibrant self below. All the voices that used to chain her down seemed distant, muffled beneath the roar of this new joy. It felt like flying. Returning home later, Emma couldn't wipe the smile off her face. How did it go? Charlie asked, his eyes twinkling with curiosity. It was incredible, she said, the words spilling out. I actually felt like myself, Dad. It felt like you unlocked something special. He finished, grinning. Emma nodded vigorously. Maybe she could embrace who she was. Maybe she was already on her way there. As the night settled around her, hope swirled in the atmosphere, but new thoughts crept in. What else could she discover about herself? Was this newfound confidence sustainable? Was it all just flickering excitement, or could it last? Just then, her phone buzzed. She picked it up, heart pounding again, and saw a message from Sarah. You ready to share another adventure soon? Despite the unfamiliar nervousness that nudged at her, Emma felt that spark ignite again. Maybe forging ahead wasn't as daunting as she thought, or maybe it was just the beginning. Emma tossed and turned that night, her mind racing with possibilities. She hadn't felt this alive, this vibrant, in such a long time. The warmth of the afternoon sun still lingered, wrapping around her like a comfortable blanket. But as the shadows grew longer in her room, her insecurities returned to haunt her thoughts. Could she really sustain this new version of herself? What if the next adventure didn't live up to the last? Just as sleep threatened to claim her, her phone buzzed again. It was another message from Sarah. Let's brainstorm ideas tomorrow at school. Can't wait. She smiled, slipping back into a light slumber, her dreams filled with visions of outrageous costumes, laughter, and stage lights. The following day, she woke up with a renewed sense of purpose. At school, Emma could hardly contain her excitement. She made her way to Sarah's locker, feeling that flip of anticipation in her stomach again. They met up just outside their first class, eyes shimmering with ideas that were waiting to be unleashed. Okay, what are we thinking? Emma asked, practically bouncing on her heels. Theater club is holding auditions next week. What if we tried out together? We could totally nail it. Sarah said, her voice bursting with enthusiasm. Emma felt her heart sink slightly at the thought. Theater? Auditions? Was she ready for that kind of exposure? The idea sent a wave of anxiety crashing over her. What if we bomb? What if it's too much? Sarah took a step closer, her eyes piercing with determination. Emma, we'll support each other. You showed everyone up at the park. You can do this. Deep down, Emma knew Sarah was right. Still, she felt the weight of doubt pushing down on her. But then she also remembered that when she had come together with Sarah for the skit, it was about more than just performance, it was about friendship and creating memories. Okay. Let us do it. She said, surprising herself with the commitment. The rush of adrenaline was followed by a freedom she hadn't expected, igniting a flicker of courage within her. As the bell rang for the first class, they walked in tandem, nerves mingling with excitement. Throughout the school day, Emma couldn't shake off the buzzing anticipation and uneasiness. Class seemed to blur together, her mind was wholly consumed with thoughts of auditions and the possibility of stepping onto a stage once more. What if she forgot her lines? What if she tripped and fell on her face? By lunch, her insides were a tangled mess of doubt and exhilaration. Sarah noticed. "Hey, you okay? You look tense," she asked, biting into her sandwich. "I don't know, what if we end up embarrassing ourselves? Or worse, letting everyone down?" Emma confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. "First of all, we have each other, okay? And who cares about what others think? Remember why we started this? It's all about us having fun." Emma nodded, the truth in Sarah's words settling over her like a soft, reassuring hug. The fear hadn't entirely vanished, but it felt more manageable now. As they left lunch, Emma's heart picked up the pace. "I'm just nervous," she admitted again. "Good. A little nervousness means you care. Just think of how incredible it would feel to perform on stage again." Sarah's enthusiasm was infectious, and slowly but surely, Emma's doubts began to chip away. Still, there was a nagging feeling at the back of her mind, one she couldn't quite place, a whisper that warned her of an unseen challenge awaiting her. Arriving at home that evening, Emma took a deep breath, staring at the audition notice on bold paper tacked to their community board. She could feel the spark inside her shifting again. The idea of stepping into a new role, of diving deeper into herself, thrilled her. But in that moment of introspection, her phone vibrated once more with a message, not from Sarah this time. It was from someone she hadn't heard from in a while. "Can we talk?" Emma's heart raced. Who could it be? What did they want? Just as uncertainty washed over her, so did curiosity. What was this all about? What if it was another layer of her journey starting to unfold? She hesitated but sensed a shift simmering under the surface. Maybe, just maybe, the adventures ahead were about more than just the spotlight. Emma stared at her phone, her fingers hovering over the screen. That message felt like a pebble tossed into a still pond, sending ripples through her thoughts. The name that flashed on her screen was familiar but also distant, like an old song she hadn't heard in years. It was Luke, a guy from her past, someone she never expected would reach out again. With a deep breath, she quickly typed back, "Sure. When and where?" The response came swiftly, suggesting they meet at a popular cafe after school. Emma's heart raced. She had so many questions swirling in her mind. Why now? What could he want? The school day dragged on, the clock ticking away like a metronome marking the rhythm of her unease. Whenever her thoughts wandered back to the conversation with Sarah about the auditions, a swell of excitement also resurfaced, like a double-edged sword. She pondered what Luke had to say as she walked to the cafe, her heart thumping louder with every step. When she arrived, the warm smell of coffee enveloped her. She spotted Luke sitting at a corner table, glancing down at what appeared to be a sketchbook. As she approached, he looked up and smiled, and for a moment, the past melted away into a comfort that had been buried beneath their raw history. "Hey, Emma. Thanks for coming," he said, his voice slightly shaky but warm. "Of course. What's up?" she asked, sliding into the seat across from him. Luke fidgeted with his hands, and Emma noticed the weariness behind his eyes. They bloomed into a brief spark when she shared a soft smile. I didn't know how to reach out, but he paused, the weight of his words hanging in the air. Things have been tough at home. My daughter, well, she's struggling, and I thought maybe I could get your perspective. You were always so good at talking to people. The shock of him mentioning his daughter left her momentarily speechless. Emma had often thought about Luke. She remembered how he had a passion for art, drawing everything that came to mind, but to hear him mention being a father was new. Qualms twisted in her stomach as she tried to process this information. What is going on? She finally asked, her voice steady despite the 1,000 questions swirling in her mind. She's really shy, doesn't connect well with friends, and I worry she feels alone. I thought maybe if I took her somewhere like a play or something lively and fun, it might help. His eyes were searching her face for a hint of understanding. Emma felt a wave of empathy wash over her. She understood that shyness, the fears that gripped at the edges of one's confidence. It occurred to her that perhaps her upcoming theater audition could provide just the inspiration Luke's daughter needed. Why don't you bring her to see our auditions next week? It could be a good way for her to meet new people and see how much fun it can be, Emma suggested, sparked by the idea. Really? You think so? His relief was palpable, it felt like a light igniting in the room. Yeah, I mean, a little exposure could do wonders. Sometimes you just need to take the leap. They talked about it for a while, their conversation dancing between shared memories and future possibilities. Emma felt a blend of hope and responsibility, understanding that this wasn't just a chat about an audition, it was about connection, about opening doors. When they wrapped up, Emma stepped outside with a fresh sense of purpose. She got that tingle again as she thought of the auditions, knowing she had taken a step not just for herself but for someone else, too. It felt good. But as her mind shifted back to the upcoming performance, that nagging feeling returned. What if the vulnerability of the stage brought up the very fears she was fighting against? What if she failed? The question lingered with her as she headed home, her heart a mix of joy and apprehension. Still, she couldn't shake the feeling that this new venture was just the beginning, that soon something remarkable was about to unfold in her life. She stepped into her house, the world buzzing around her, and checked her phone one last time. No new messages. But soon, she knew, everything was about to change. What if this leap into the unknown held more than she could imagine? Would she embrace the chaos or let the fear pull her back? Emma barely slept that night, her mind a whirlwind of excitement and anxiety. Each tick of the clock was like a reminder of the unknown that loomed ahead, particularly in regards to the auditions. Her heart raced at the thought of standing on that stage, vulnerable and exposed, pouring her heart out for everyone to see. The next day at school felt different, every corridor echoed with the weight of impending change. As she walked to her classroom, the voices of her classmates faded into a blur. All she could think about was her upcoming audition and the courage it would require. During lunch, Sarah caught her looking distant. "Hey, Earth," to Emma. "You okay?" Sarah asked, her brow knitted with concern. "Yeah, just nervous, I guess," Emma admitted, taking a deep breath. "It's just that I talked to Luke yesterday, and it stirred up a lot of stuff." "Stuff?" Sarah pressed, leaning in closer. "The stuff that went wrong?" Emma sighed. "Not exactly. I mean, he told me about his daughter. It made me realize how connected all of this can be, the audition, helping someone find their voice. But it also makes all my worries feel heavier." "Emma," Sarah said firmly, her eyes shining with determination. "You're going to nail this audition. You owe it to yourself and to that little girl. You're meant to inspire. Just think of how far you've come." Those words hung in the air, resonating in Emma's heart. She'd always been good at uplifting others, but could she find that same strength for herself? With Sarah's reassurance, the day felt a little brighter, as if the heaviness had shifted. After school, Emma found herself at the cafe again, not entirely sure why she had returned. Maybe the comfort of familiar surroundings would ground her before the storm of auditions. She ordered her usual and settled in a corner. The bustle of the cafe wrapped around her like a comforting blanket. That's when she noticed an older man, the cafe's janitor, mopping near the entrance. He paused, glanced at her, and offered a warm smile. His presence seemed understated yet somehow larger than life. Emma found herself caught in his gaze. It was as if he saw more than just a girl sitting alone, he saw her potential. "Excuse me," she said, surprising herself as she approached him. "You're always here, right?" "Every day," he replied, his voice gentle but firm. "And I see you here, too. You look like someone who carries a dream." "How can you tell?" she asked, her curiosity piqued. He laughed softly. "It's in your eyes. They sparkle with hope and fear at the same time. It's a struggle we all face, isn't it? The dance between doubt and our aspirations." His words struck a chord deep within Emma. Here was a person whose job was often overlooked, yet he carried wisdom that was rich and compelling. "Do you have dreams?" she dared to ask. "Oh, I do," he responded, his expression shifting to one of pride. "I wanted to be a painter, you know. But life changed that path. Still, I paint every day when no one's watching. There's magic in that brush. Why not share it, then?" "It's not always about sharing, young lady," he replied. "Sometimes it's about doing it for yourself. But if you feel called to the stage, shine there. Show that little girl and everyone else what's trapped inside." Emma took a step back, absorbing the profound simplicity of his words. She felt a mix of gratitude and inspiration. It was more than just about her audition. This moment was about knowing that vulnerability could translate to strength. With a newfound resolve, she returned to her seat, her heart swelling with energy. There was something liberating in the idea of embracing who she truly was, on and off the stage. As she prepared to leave, Emma caught sight of her phone lighting up once more. A message flashed across the screen: "Can we talk? It's about my daughter." Her heart skipped a beat. What did Luke want to share? Before she could ponder it for too long, she realized she was ready. What if this was the moment that could change everything for both her and Luke's daughter? Determined, Emma walked out of the cafe, ready to face whatever came next. Would this conversation bring them even closer together? Or would it deepen the divide? Emma could only hope as she stepped forward into the unknown. The day of the audition arrived, and Emma's stomach churned with excitement and anxiety. She stood in front of her mirror, breathing hard, feeling the flutter of both fear and exhilaration. Today was not just about her, it was about showing everyone and especially herself who she truly could be. At school, the atmosphere buzzed with anticipation. Students gathered in small clusters, whispering and laughing, ready to witness their peers take the stage. The old gymnasium, transformed by bright lights and makeshift stage curtains, felt alive with energy. Emma's heart raced as she saw familiar faces peppered throughout the audience, her friends, teachers, and even the janitor she had talked to earlier, leaning against the wall with a knowing smile. Somehow, his presence felt grounding. As she stepped into the wings, Sarah squeezed her hand. "You've got this, Emma. Just breathe and visualize yourself shining." Emma nodded, inhaling deeply, the scent of polished wood and anticipation filling her senses. Luke's daughter had shown up with him, her eyes wide with curiosity. Emma caught a glimpse of the little girl's face, a blend of hope and trepidation reflected back at her. The first few performers went on, and Emma watched, her heart swelling as everyone embraced their moments. There was a palpable sense of community. No one seemed concerned about perfection, they were just reveling in their expressions of self. When her turn finally arrived, Emma felt a wave of warmth wash over her, as if the stage demanded her presence. She stepped forward and took a deep breath. The lights blinded her momentarily, but then her eyes settled. The audience held its breath, their focus trained entirely on her. From somewhere deep within, Emma summoned the energy she had felt at the park, the liberation of being real. As she began her piece, her voice trembled initially but gradually settled into steadiness. She poured her heart into every word, letting the emotions flow unfiltered. Each line filled the room with vulnerability, and she could see the audience silently leaning in, connecting. She recalled the words of the janitor. This was her brush, her canvas. It was a passionate dance of love, loss, and strength, a snapshot of everything she had overcome. Emotion swelled, energy wrapped around her like a cocoon. There was no barrier between her dreams and this moment. As she finished, silence hung in the air, an eternity ticking at its own pace before applause erupted. The sound roared like a wave, overwhelming and beautiful. Emma stood there, heart bursting with joy, flooded with warmth. She had done it. This was more than just a performance, it was a huge leap to herself, for herself. The audience erupted into cheers, but her eyes were searching, looking for that familiar face. She spotted Luke, standing with his daughter. His smile widened, filled with pride, and she felt the knot of empathy tighten in her heart. More than the standing ovation, she wanted to be a light for his daughter, just as she had found her own. After the show, the energy in the room was electric. Sarah rushed over, enveloping Emma in a fierce hug. "I knew you could do it. You owned that stage." "Thanks, but it felt so much bigger." Emma shook her head, still buzzing with adrenaline. "It was about them, about all of us." Soon, Luke and his daughter approached her. The little girl looked up with shining eyes. "You were amazing. You made me feel brave." Emma knelt down, excitement pooling in her chest. "You know, bravery is like a muscle. The more you use it, the easier it gets. Do you want to join me next time?" The girl smiled wide, her innocence radiating hope and possibility. "Really? I'd love to." The joy swelled within Emma. This was what she wanted for those around her, to see their potential, to feel connected despite any fears they might carry. The evening continued, and every reaction, every shared smile, created a tapestry of comfort and togetherness. The janitor's understanding gaze from afar reminded Emma of the quiet warriors in the community. In their own way, they were lights guiding others. Later, as Emma returned home and processed the whirlwind of unexpected joy, she looked at the reflection in her mirror again. The girl staring back at her was different. She was no longer tangled in someone else's dreams. She had stepped into her own light. The next day, when she returned to school, she felt energized. There was a bounce in her step, and her heart held a new clarity. She could chase her dreams without fear of burdening anyone else. Those dreams were inherently hers, a pursuit of discovery and growth. In her final moments of reflection, she understood the path she had to travel was lined with resilience, friendship, and compassion. She felt ready to explore the adventures waiting just beyond the horizon, feeling the pulse of possibility and the warmth of love wrapping around her like a comforting embrace. "Tomorrow is another day," Charlie whispered in her mind, echoing with new meaning. She was stepping into tomorrow, no longer merely existing in uncertainty but fully embracing who she was meant to be. Subscribe immediately to our channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire and uplift you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm so we can continue sharing these heartwarming journeys. Share your reactions and feelings about the ending in the comments below. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. True fans know how important support is. Show us you care.